Dave
Who?
Chapelle. Did you get a chance to see his latest special?
No, I have not had an opportunity to watch Dave Chappelle's latest special because I just decided that I didn't want to watch the special because the
Okay.
last two specials, he was talking about trans people or whatever, and I like I said on the Breakfast Club, I haven't found Dave Chappelle to be funny since Darkness, 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 and so for me to preserve my peace, I
Mm-hmm.
just decided that I didn't want to watch. How many times do I got to show up to a place where straight people and definitely straight Black people are telling trans jokes? I'm not gonna go there for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not pulling up to the place for that. I don't know if they're good or bad. I'm just not pulling up to a place where there's a Black man telling you know trans jokes. Now my comments on it was not on the special. It's on the girls who are the Black girls. I'm like I said at the top of this conversation, I'm about my people and
Mm-hmm.
my black queer girls, my Black trans girls. They have been outraged about certain things, and from what I was listening to from them, they just want to be heard, and they want the message to be relayed to Dave, like sir, you're a Black man that has lots of influence over other Black men, and when you tell these jokes that have offended them, and it affects Black people different than it would. You were talking about your white friend Daphne. That's your white friend. She's your white trans friend. Like they not to say that they don't have transgressions in their group, but we're talking about a Black man standing in front of Black people, and the murder rate amongst Black trans women are higher than anything. So this is what my sisters were petitioning for. Like, hear us, hear what we're saying. Like, this is affecting your community, sir. I haven't asked for Dave Chappelle to be canceled. I know that he's a comic. I'm a comic at times. I've said some things, but when I hear a community of people, of women, because I get in trouble a lot with women for things. Well, with females. Let me say females. I get a lot of trouble with females for things that I might say because I'm not versed in female things. Woman things, yes, but female situations, I'm not versed in that. Like, because I'm not a female. I am a trans woman.
Mhm.
And so there might be some things that I might have said that women are checking me, like, hey, ma'am, you don't know anything about that because you're not female. And I got to throw my hand up, be like, hey, let me just take a listen, and see, how I have offended you, and let me evaluate that. So, I'm not calling for Dave Chappelle to be canceled, and he's a Black man. I want all my Black folks to eat. And I'm not petitioning for, things to happen for him to be reprimanded, because see, the thing about it is it's deeper than him. Like, he's doing his job. It's the source that, it's one thing to do your job. And then there's another thing for someone to spread what you've done. So the girl's quarrel was it was a little fight with him, but the deeper quarrel was with Netflix, because it's like, all right, well, since he has specials, let us get up there and tell nigga jokes then, bitch. Let us get up there and tell Black men jokes, and let us get up there and do the things. Give us platforms to do that. It was just a whole debacle that they tried to wrap me up in, because I said that I didn't want to watch it. I'm not watching it. Like, I'm not showing up to anything that's going to make me angry. That's like me going over there reading negative comments about me.
And it's interesting because, so obviously I don't know what would make you more, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this special, like, I can't say, oh, well, he didn't go there in this special, you probably wouldn't feel the same way. I mean, I can feel a certain way, but I'm not a trans woman,
Yeah,
so
right,
I don't really know.
Right.
But what I am saying is, though, I think it's unfortunate that some people, and you have your reasons for, I mean, I completely understand your reason for not watching it. I do feel like when people do start making comments off of things that they haven't listened to, is a little problematic, because you are taking somebody else's take word on something that you didn't even hear yourself,
right.
Which I think is an issue. And I've heard his specials in the past, and What I don't kind of understand about us as a people and this whole cancel culture and stuff, because that stuff really ticked me off when it comes to that. I can't really speak on the transgender part because I don't know how that affects
And
you
that's all
or
I've been
anybody
saying.
else.
And sister, that's all I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. Like, you can't tell transgender people how to feel about something
Right.
that, you know, you can't. And maybe if you just listen to what we're saying, I'm not in the lineup saying anything about it because I didn't watch it. And so I didn't take the time. What I'm saying from my place is, I don't need to show up every time they're telling trans jokes. I don't like, this is the third special. Like, I don't need what he said different from the second one, because the second time he was in some water before. Remember, he was before he was in some hot water, and then the first one he was in. So I just like, girl, I don't want to watch that kind of shit. Why would you? Here's my thing. What is y'all over there watching the shit for?
Well, because they like Dave Chapelle. That's the thing. And then, you know, he's controversial. So it is what it is. But my thing is this, what I don't understand about the cancel culture, when it comes to people like Dave Chapelle, Kevin Hart, I mean, there's been other comedians. They say stuff about everybody. So what, you going to cancel people every time they say something? I don't understand that part.
Because nobody's exempt. Because I've heard some comedians that say stuff about women. I'm like,
and not just comedians, because we're gonna get into the baby and people that ain't comedians that say some hateful stuff. But I don't get the thing with the comedians. To me, it's like, isn't that fair game?
It's kind of sorta. Eddie Murphy knows that he can't do what he did when he came out with Raw. He knows that times have evolved. There are things that you can't do anymore. You know, you understand?
Words that you can't use that are no longer
words
funny.
that you can't use. You know, conversation pieces that you can't use because they're harmful. So, you know, it's not about you going after them for being comedians. It's about, okay, time. Listen, we're in evolving times now. You know, these things, you know, you can't do. Even Eddie Murphy knows. Eddie Murphy is the greatest comedian to me of all time. To me. And he knows that he can't go and do that Raw special. We can only look back at that Raw and say, damn, that shit was funny. But but today,
we don't cancel Eddie Murphy because he said some stuff back then.
Well, he knows that he can't do it now.
Well, what I'm saying is, we don't cancel him. Like how Kevin got canceled for what? To try to host the Emmys for some stuff that he had said back in the day.
But Kevin also isn't. But sister, you got to know, these men are influential to an entire community of people. And you say things like about your kids, and this is things that black gay and trans kids are already facing, you know, in their own home. And for you to turn on the television and then there's somebody putting a stamp on or validating the way that you feel because they feel the same way, and you got a whole group or army of people, you know, that agree with you saying, well, my son's a fag, I'm gonna disown him, or I drop him. Like, this stuff is really going on in homes, and you shouldn't be, you know, stamping that. That's not a stamp of approval. You shouldn't be further pushing that. Like, kids are killing themselves because they have no outlet.
I think that I hear that kind of stuff, but I think that that's the piece that people are missing. And I think that that's part of the problem, is that they're not really getting that the same way you want social justice and equality for Black people, you should want the same thing for Black trans or queer, because the same way Black kids are killing themselves because they're getting teased at school or getting shot down on the street by policemen, Black trans community and Black queer people they experience the same thing. But I think that for whatever reason,
more, because then they got their own people turning
their own people. But I think for whatever reason, it's like, oh, your pain doesn't hurt as much. And it's kind of all the same. And I think the minute we stop realizing, or the minute we realize, no matter what anyone chooses to do in their life, or whoever they are, let me just say that, all deserve to be treated like human beings.
Yes.
And I think that that's the problem, that you don't look at a Black queer person as a human being. You don't look at a Black man as a human being. And so I think if Black men can really get that piece of it, because that's kind of where you intersect and connect.
Yes.
That I think that would make a huge difference in how they treat or how they speak about the trans community, because it's literally like, if you really break it down to brass knuckles, it's really the same thing. Like, you want to be treated as human beings. Yes.
And I'm so glad that you said that. You articulated that extremely well, because, you know, I was really trying to put it in that space, but I'm talking from experience of me growing up young and hearing people say, you know, what they'll do to their kids if they're gay. You know, you better not be, you know, fag or no sissy, and you know, and you are these things in the inside, and you don't have anywhere to turn or to go. And then your family is on the TV listening to other men who are holding positions of power, validating their stupid feelings and stuff like that. And it's just like, everybody feel this way, man. You right, man. Yeah, I beat my son to death. And so people are like, hey, understand your position where you are, understand the influence that you hold, understand, you know, that you have that any one of us that's Black and is in an elevated position, we have to think before we speak a lot of times, because there are so many Black people that are there whose voices are not heard, and they speak through, you know, people who hold positions. And it's like, when they say things, problematic things, it becomes kind of like law in the community.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure. Which I feel like sometimes, because I mean, that's across the board. I feel like sometimes I have an issue with that, because, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree, because people have influence. You have influence.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. But when you have, I forget what basketball player was like, I'm not your role model. Right. And I think that we have to kind of meet in the middle, because parents need to do their jobs as parents. There were certain things that I just couldn't listen to, period. And I don't care if you, you know, somebody's on there saying something disparaging about the trans community, or if there's a woman on there, you know, busting it wide open and making it look like it's okay for women to sell their body, whatever the case may be. It is really the parent's job to step in and say, hey, that's not right. This is right. Don't do that. And so I feel like we can't always,
or better yet, that not that it's not right. This is what I don't like. This is what I don't approve of, because that's the problem. When we sit up there and start saying right and wrong, it's like
because there's no handbook.
There's no right. Yeah.
There's no handbook. There is no handbook on how to raise a child. We learn from our parents, and our parents learn from their parents, and whoever parented them. And so a lot of this stuff has been passed down, you know, through us. And so a lot of the stuff that we've held on to, like the homophobia, the transphobia, the whatever, all this stuff, we've held on to this. And you know, we put it into our kids. Even me, there are things that I've had to unlearn in my own transness. I've had to unlearn, like, girl, listen, I have said some extremely problematic shit, extremely. And the difference between me though, is I like to sit down, like after I done blew my steam off, like, I don't want to hear none of that stuff y'all got to say. And my people are over there like, look, bitch, we love you, and so I'm gonna tap you on your shoulder and tell you this is what you say, and that it doesn't necessarily mean that every time I've said something to them, you know, that, because of course you're gonna offend people, you know, everybody's not gonna agree, but when people are telling you, dog, you don't know nothing about this, so hush. You don't know anything about this. Shut your mouth, hush, and learn about this first, and then come back and revisit that, you know. And it's one thing for me to tell a joke, but then it's one thing for me to tell a stupid joke, you know, that might affect an entire group of people. And so it's important for us to be able to be checked and to check ourselves. You know, that's all.
I'm glad you said that about, you know, just, you didn't want to watch the special, because it's like, why would you keep on showing up to a place where you're not giving love, essentially, right? And so, and that's a good point, because I never really even thought about it like that. Honestly, I thought about it more because I watched it and I thought it wasn't offensive. That doesn't mean that somebody else wouldn't think it's still offensive or wouldn't even want to go back, like you said, and listen because of his past.
But it's kind of like when you're not the butt of the joke, it's funny.
Yeah.
Like when the joke's not about you, you know? So I think we just have to kind of sometimes think outside of ourselves. Because I think that, like I said, I think we're more alike than different